Welcome to the Mrs. R Relevant Daily Draft Podcast. My name is Jim. Joined with me today is John. John, this is your first Draft Professor podcast. Thank you so much for coming on the channel. You're in the chat of so many of our podcasts. I love meeting the people that use the simulator and follow the podcast. How are you doing this afternoon?
Well, Jim, I'd say I'm doing pretty well. Pretty excited to get into talking about what my team, of course, the Detroit Lions, might do in this upcoming draft. And I mean, I'm just a full-on draft fanatic for these last couple of months here.
Well, you are probably the fanatic that I'm looking for. I love people that like talking about the draft and doing mock drafts. Um, and you're a Detroit Lions fan. I have spent 25% of my life in the state of Michigan. So I am not in Michigan now for any Lions fan that is watching this. But I went to college in Flint. I spent about a decade in West Bloomfield. So I am very familiar with Michigan. I love the UP. But if you were to think of the Detroit Lions and what they need to address in the draft, what is at the top of your mind is what the Lions need to do in the draft?
Well, in terms of positions that the players that are currently there may leave, for one thing, it would definitely be tackle because there have been a lot of reports out of the Lion camp that maybe Taylor Decker might come back, maybe he may not, and he's getting pretty old either way. So bringing in someone in the first round or even the second round at at the tackle position to sort of group with Penei Sewell for the years to come would definitely be good. And then on the defensive side of the ball, we more so need depth pieces because obviously you've you've definitely seen it these last 2 years of the NFL season. We've just had a ton of injuries, and many of them have been sort of more so on the defensive side of the ball as compared to the offensive. So we definitely need an edge to group with Hutchinson because that's pretty much all Lions fans complain about with Brad Holmes. Um, they're just get another edge so then he's not the only guy that the opposing offensive line is sort of targeting. And then we could also get another linebacker because Alex Anzalone is a pending free agent this year. So we'll just have to see. There's those are the three main positions, but we need depth mostly on defense, and then we could also use possibly a backup QB in the later rounds.
Cool. Well, I am looking forward to hearing about the offensive tackles that you like for the Lions. So we're doing an offensive tackle show a week from Sunday. So I'm curious, you're gonna probably talk about some guys you might like in round 1 or 2. And I'm curious what Jack Brentnall and Devin Jackson will have to say.
Hmm.
I'm also curious where you have some of the linebackers graded, specifically, as well as the edge, because this is a pretty volatile edge class.
Right.
So, looking forward to hearing you talk about that as we go through. So, I'm going to pull up the Draft Professor simulator, and we're going to do Detroit Lions. And the first thing that John and I are going to do is this thing called the First Round Fanatic Challenge. So, this is 5 unique one-round drafts. The Lions are picking 17th. We're going to start that. So the simulator is going to go through its round 1 and get through the first 16 picks. And I will read out loud what those picks were. So it was Mendoza, Bain, Maui Noah, Reese, Fano, Tyson, Styles, Boston, Downs, Woods, Tate, Bailey, Delane, Ione, Falk, Lemon.
Hmm.
So if the draft went like that, who would be your pick for the Lions?
So looking at that board right there, definitely based on the positions I just told you about, it would either be Lomu or Parker here. And I know that this last Friday when I helped you guys with that 32-man mock draft. Of course, TJ Parker was able to perfectly fall to this Detroit Lions position. But for these last couple of first round fanatics that I've done, whenever he's gone into the Lions position, I have picked Caleb Lomu. Now, recently within the draft community, well, not recently, it's been pretty much this whole season, but I feel like Fano does get more sort of, he does get more, I don't know how to put it, but he let's just say he's more talked about than Caleb Lomu is, but I do like both of them. And so for right here, I would pick Caleb Lomu to sort of shore up that offensive tackle spot a little more.
Yeah, and I think people like Fano for the player he is now. I think Lomu is being put in the first round because he has a higher ceiling. Like Lomu could have gone back to school for
Right.
another year, chose to declare. So I think Lomu, you're getting you he may start year one, but he may not be your starter coming out of camp. That might be something that he has to grow into during the season. And when we do a first round challenge, what ends up happening is the simulator, we pick Lomu, the simulator immediately starts another first round. But the second time through, the simulator sniped Caleb Lomu, so he is no longer available. So if Lomu is off the board and Fano is off the board, is Monroe Freeling graded high enough for you to take it pick 17?
Uh, because he is a darn good offensive tackle, but no, if he somehow like let's say there's a scenario where the Lions don't go after offensive tackle in the first round and maybe they go after edge because obviously I see TJ Parker still available there, and then there might be another dude there possibly at the edge position that would be good, but I would say that he would be more of a guy that would be late first round, like sort of earlier second round type of talent. I mean, he's really good. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think he would be the one that I would take in the first round. So I already talked about him, but for this second one that we're doing, I'm gonna take TJ Parker. And obviously prior to this season, he was very highly touted. Um Now he did sort of take a step back at Clemson this past season, but I feel like that was the case with most of the players on Clemson this past year because before the year, people were like, Clemson, put them in the college football playoff already. Like without even playing any games, they were like, put them in the CFP because you've got Peter Woods, you've got TJ Parker, as I just mentioned, Cade Klubnik. I mean, I I feel like he's a great like leader and all that. I'm sort of on like his on some of his abilities, but he's still a pretty good QB. But things just didn't work out for them this year, and I think that sort of caused for both him and Woods to sort of take a step back. But I think that the Lions, obviously, they've already got Hutch, and they did pretty well with Al Quadlin Muhammad this past year, who he was basically on the couch after like barely playing with the Saints, and then I forget what other team he was with, but he put up like eight or so sacks this past year for the Lions, and he was very good. So put a guy like TJ Parker in there, and I think the Lions can develop him very well.
Okay. So the simulator immediately starts a third mock. In the third mock, Lomu and Parker get sniped before the Lions pick. I don't know that we saw Keldrick Falk there before.
No,
Um,
we didn't.
so what do you think the Lions would do if Lomu and Parker were off the board?
So obviously, needing an edge, that could be something that we would do. then also I mentioned we do need like more depth in other places on the defense, and obviously you've got guys like McCoy up there. I really really like CJ Allen. Obviously with guys like Styles and shoot, why am I forgetting the other dude's name
Reese.
from? Oh yeah, Orville Reese, right? Yeah. Obviously with those two, he's not a top two linebacker for me or like a lot of other people, but he's still, man, like Georgia just happens to produce like some of the best linebackers that you'll see in a lot of these drafts. And then also, not to mention, you've got Vega Ione on the board there as well. And while we did draft Tate Ratledge this past year in, I think it was like the second round, and we may have even traded up to get him too. But he was very good. I don't know so much about a guy like Christian Mahogany. He was sort of he had sort of mixed results this past season. He was very good a lot of the time, and then sometimes he just made those sort of like younger player type mistakes that you always see. So that could also be a possibility. Um, I'm not sure if we need like interior D line as much in terms of the first round though, because this past season we drafted Tyleik Williams first round out of Ohio State. We do have DJ Reader as a free agent, but we have yet to see whether or not we will be bringing him back. But just for, since I did say that we would be needing probably another edge to go on the other side of Hutch, or I mean, it really depends what they could do there. I think I would pick Keldrick Falk here. And I do have Falk a little bit higher than TJ Parker, so it would be pretty awesome if he could drop all the way down here, but yeah.
Okay. So the simulator starts a fourth mock. In the fourth mock, Lomu, Parker, and Falk have been sniped right before the Lions pick. So if Lomu, Parker, and Falk are not available, what do you think the Lions would do?
Let's see. There are some pretty good corners up there on the board. Of course, I don't know. I don't know how. I don't know how Lions fans would take it if we drafted McCoy, because while he is obviously like when he's healthy, he's a top tier corner. He's especially great in man to man, but he was injured for the entirety of last season, and of course, you're coming off guys like Rakestraw and Terrion Arnold. They were both injured for portions of last season, and we had to have something that Lions fans nicknamed the Legion of Whom, because no one really knew who they were that much. But yeah, so in terms of like PR, that probably wouldn't be the best pick. In terms of development, I think that we could make him a great corner. But I did mention him. But then there are guys like Abney and Terrell up on the board here.
Is Caden Proctor graded high enough for you to take it 17?
Me personally, no, not for me. I definitely like all the other tackles I mentioned more than Proctor. Now, for
Do
me,
you like Ihenachor at 17?
I don't know. I do need to watch a lot more of his tape, but also I really don't think he's as high. Like Proctor's not like not with like Lomu or Fano or anything, but what? How do you pronounce his name? Ihenachor? Or
I said Ihenachor. Some people are saying Ihenachor. I need to get a clarification on the pronunciation.
Yeah, but I'd say I have him like a little bit lower than Proctor. Now,
Do you have Cassius Howell or Zion Young or Malachi Lawrence graded high enough to take it 17?
Now, Cassius Howell, that's a guy who even before the season you were seeing like, oh, maybe the Lions could take him there, and he has shown some good skill sets and abilities at the collegiate level as an edge. I do think that he would be probably more of a developmental guy compared to Falk or TJ Parker, who just seem to have they seemingly have a little bit more natural type of skills to them as compared to a guy like um Cassius Howell, but he is still in consideration. Now, I did mention Vega Ione earlier. Obviously, interior O line for me, I wouldn't say is as big of a thing as like offensive tackle or edge, but he is one of the best players that is still available here on the board, and also it could be a need because you've also got guys like Glasgow who are going up in age, and we do also need a good center, which I believe he is not a center, but mainly plays guard. But
Would you take
we
Connor Lew at 17?
for well the last couple of mock drafts that I've done, I took him in the second round, so he's more of that type of
Okay.
that type of guy for me, but he is definitely a guy that I think both me and the Lions would be interested in, especially since Brad Holmes in his last press conference did say that making sure that the O line is all set here before the 26-27 season starts is definitely high on his priority list. We did recently get a brand new offensive coordinator from the Cardinals, which we'll have to see how that is. I am definitely reserving my judgment for that until we actually see them step out on the field with that offense. But him having coached with Ben Johnson for a lot of his career is definitely a good sign for us, I think. But I think here, as I mentioned, I'm gonna take Ione because I just feel like outside of getting a top tier tackle, getting a nice guy that you can put in the interior of your offensive line like he is just such a big thing that we could really do.
Okay. So the simulator starts the fifth mock of a first round challenge with Caleb Lomu, TJ Parker, Keldrick Falk, and Vega Ione all sniped before the Lions are on the clock at 17. So
Hmm.
in this one, Jordan Tyson's available. And if we
Okay.
go to the second page, you'll see Makai Lemon has dropped, Denzel Boston has dropped.
Hmm.
Um, what do you think the Lions would do if your top four choices are off the board?
Let's see here. Could you go to the corner? Hmm. I don't think I would take McCoy for the reasons that I just said, with him having been hurt for so much of this past season. And um personally, I'm not an insider, so I don't really know what the rehab schedule for all that is like. I don't know when he'd be back. So if I were the Lions, I wouldn't pick him if I wanted like a corner that I could put in there right away. Keith Abney and Avion Terrell, both of them are sort of calling my name right here. Um, Obviously, with Avion Terrell already having a brother in the league, that could bode well for his playing future. Um, Obviously, I have a brother that plays football, so I don't doubt that like they probably talk to each other about like what they probably talk to each other about like what different things they see in games and what you should do here or there. I feel like it would be too high to pick Colton Hood, even though he did play really well in the absence of Jermod McCoy. Um, I think I'm gonna pick Terrell here.
Okay.
And all right.
So The A+ grades represent the highest player on the draft board. So I know from talking with John before the podcast that John had done a few first round challenges on the simulator before. I have a feeling that that's how those players got to the top. So if people watching are not familiar with the simulator, the players you pick move up the draft board. So if you're picking a player, like when we picked Viga, he wasn't the highest. If you come in the next time and he is the highest, it's because you picked him. So like right now, Ione was not higher than McCoy, right? But if we come in a little bit and we see that Ione is higher than McCoy, we know that it was this mock that flipped their order on the Lions board. So that was a lot of fun. And the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to do a 4-round mock for the Lions. And there's this button here at the bottom called Fanatic Mode. And I'm going to bump this to 8. So we're going to do 8 4-round mocks for the Lions. And the simulator will not let John select the same player twice. So we just went through 5 first-round possibilities. We're going to actually bump that up to 8 possibilities and see how John kind of talks through the different scenarios in all of the rounds. Now, to the best of my knowledge, the Lions are picking in rounds 1, 2, and 4. There is no round 3 pick. And we'll verify that here as we go through. But the first round of Fanatic Mode and the first round of a first-round challenge should be the same. If another user is using the simulator right now, it's very possible that some of these picks could change during the exercise. But right now, round 1 is Mendoza, Bain, Maui Noah, Reese, Fano, Tyson, Styles, Boston, Downs, Woods, Tate, Bailey, Delane, Ione, Falk, Lemon. Last time you picked Caleb Lomu, is that still the best choice for you here?
Yeah. I feel like to start, I should do the same as that first time, and obviously Lomu, that fills a big spot for us. But I'm more interested to see what we'll get here in the last couple rounds of it.
Okay, so you can see that people who've drafted for the Lions before have picked centers in round 2, because the only way that those players get to the top of the board is if people are picking them. So you're at pick 50. You've taken Caleb Lomu in round 1. What would you do in round 2?
It is definitely a need for us at center, but I do also see a lot of other pretty talented guys on the board there. You've got Kristen Miller, which, I mean, I did mention that we picked a defensive tackle in the first round last year, but obviously you've got the problem of DJ Reader maybe not coming back, and also the injury bug has been able to hit the defensive line as well. So that would be a good pick too, but there is also Lee Hunter. Big Citrus is there as well. Can I see who's there at linebacker? Let's see. Ooh, Aiden Fisher.
So Trotter is off the board. Anthony Hill is off the board.
Yeah.
And CJ Allen is off the board.
Yeah. I think right here, I'm going to keep on building in the trenches. Let's go with Connor Liu. He's the top center prospect for me and for a ton of other people. As I've seen, I've just been looking at everyone's big boards, and it seems like he's the top guy there for that position in terms of consensus.
So, and this feels like a Dan Campbell draft. Go Lomu, Lou in rounds 1 and 2. You're in round 4 at pick 118.
Right.
What would you do here?
So with Sam Laporta still being on this team and like probably coming back next year, it might be sort of surprising that I'm about to ask you to take a look at the tight end room. But the reasoning for that is obviously, as I mentioned, we just got Drew Petzing, and he runs so many different styles of offense. Like he runs 11 personnel, he'll run 12 personnel, even 13 personnel from time to time. So there is a need possibly for a backup tight end with this new offensive coordinator here, because who knows if a guy like Brock Wright or Shane Zylstra, who knows if they wind up being the type of guys that Drew Petzing wants to have around. Now, obviously, this is a pretty I'd say that it's a pretty deep tight end class. Like it's not too top heavy. But there are a lot of guys that you can get at different positions in the draft. So obviously I know that we're only doing a 4 rounder, but I think I probably will save the
And
oh
the
wait,
Lions have
actually,
another comp pick. I was
oh,
looking. So the
nice.
Lions have a second, fourth round pick. So we'll be able
Ooh,
to do
okay.
2 fourth round picks if you want.
Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna save tight end for that other 4th rounder, and let's just look at, I think more so the defensive side of the ball is what I'll look at for this one. Um,
So I have edge and linebacker turned on.
okay, yeah. Um, let's see here.
I'll go back to the first page for you.
Hmm.
Llewellyn dropped around 4. Barham dropped
Oh,
around
nice.
4. Red Murdoch did. Mikel Kamara dropped around 4. Derek Moore and Aiden Fisher dropped around 4.
Well, Dan Campbell and sorry, that's just my roommate.
That's
Uh,
all right.
Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes, they have already drafted one edge from the University of Michigan. And unfortunately for me, being a Michigan State fan, a, gr- a great majority of Detroit Lions fans also happen to be fans of that that blue and maize school over there. So I think based on past history and also the fact that Derek Moore, I mean, I was watching him last year, and obviously last year in terms of record, they had a very similar year to this year, which I would only categorize as mediocre to as compared to their expectations that they have in Ann Arbor for every season. But last year he was just so powerful coming off the edge. He was getting to he I feel like he was at least pressuring almost every quarterback that they faced last season. And honestly, I thought at first it was a because wait, is he a junior or senior right now?
I'd have to go verify that, but I believe he is a senior.
Yeah, so I thought that I thought it was a pretty good decision for him to come back. Obviously they didn't have the year that they thought they would, and um, they did wind up losing their bowl game to Texas, but bowl games are becoming more and more, uh, well, actually,
Glorified preseason game.
yeah, basically. So that's where that is with his school. I also do like Aiden Fisher because he is a local Virginia kid, came from JMU. I actually have I have some cousins that actually know him. Um, So obviously, in terms of me, that would be a good pick, like because he's from the same state that I'm from. But I think in terms of the best player, I would pick Derek Moore here. If you can't get guys like T.J. Parker, Keldrick Falk in the first couple of rounds, then I think he's one of the best that you could get here in the fourth.
Okay, and now we're later in the fourth, and I'll
Yeah,
show you
let's.
the linebackers and tight ends. So Fisher is still available. See
Hmm,
Jack Andrews, Jaron Kanik, Eli Raridan, Eli Stowers, Dan Villari, Dallin Bentley.
hmm. Wait, do you have Matthew Hibner on this draft board at all?
He is.
Oh, he
He's
is. Yeah, he actually went to the same high school that I did.
as long as he didn't return to school. So
I
I'd
I
have to
don't believe
go
so.
verify that he's still in the draft class. He was in the simulator at one point, but I took out players that went back to school.
Hmm. Well, for one thing, I definitely know that he will be in the American Bowl along with his teammate RJ Maryland. So he should be going to the draft if he's in an All-Star game because I'm
Agreed. So I'll go back and double check. Have it like one of the things that I work on right now is this player list. I've also noticed like there was one player that retired medically and he's
hmm.
still listed. So I'm constantly updating lists. So Hibner is not in the simulator right now.
So in terms of tight ends, at the top there you've got Endries. I haven't really watched any like real tight end tape other than like all the top tier guys like Sadiq and all them yet because obviously I didn't know that we would be getting this offensive coordinator who seemingly has a pretty big affection for tight ends. I mean, at Arizona, he gave what's their tight end there from Colorado State? Shoot, I'm blanking. Oh yeah, Trey McBride.
Yep.
He was able to sort of help him accomplish back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, which um oh, there's a there's a message there, but I would say back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, especially in today's NFL, is kind of rare. You do see tight ends that get close to that amount of production, but not a lot of them have 1,000-yard seasons, and not a lot of them have back-to-back. It really just depends, sort of the scheme that you put them in. Um, Jaron Kanak, though, he's a converted linebacker at Oklahoma, and he sort of had a breakout year in a year where the Sooners they vastly improved from their record over their record from last season, and I feel like he was a pretty big part of it. Villari, he's an interesting weapon that you can have because he's a former quarterback at Michigan, and I believe he may have at least tried he may have at least tried playing QB a little bit at Syracuse. I don't remember if he wound up throwing any passes there, but because of that, well, because of him both being a QB and a tight end, he's very tall. So I definitely like that measurable of him, and he can also beat you deep when he wants you to. But hmm, this is actually kind of tough because there's some tight ends here that I really like. Um, hmm. I think just because of sort of the threat that wait, actually go to the second page of the tight ends. I I'm gonna I'm gonna think a sec more here. Um, hmm. I do like Koziol, and I, I believe that's how you pronounce his name.
Yep. Koziel.
Koziel. Oh. And I have seen a lot of Lions fans on various platforms talking about him as a potential guy that we could get for this I wouldn't say new offense, but it's different from what John Morton has doing last year. So, you know what? Take him. Take Koziel.
Okay. Okay, so the simulator immediately starts the second mock. So we're going to be doing 8 mocks in Fanatic mode. So long list of errors. Thank you for stopping by. So John is going to be doing 8 unique Lions mocks. So in mock 1, we took Lomu, Lou, Moore, Koziel. In the second mock, it makes sure that Lomu is off the board before the Lions pick. So
And
if
then and then in the second round, Lou will be off the board, and then in the fourth round, the two other
correct,
guys will be off the board. Okay,
correct.
interesting. All right.
So at pick 17, if Lomu isn't available, last time you picked TJ Parker. Is that who you go with this time?
I still like him as sort of a second sort of as sort of like a backup pick to Lomu if he's not up there.
Okay. So in round 2, the simulator makes sure that Connor Liu is off the board before your pick. So if you take TJ Parker in round 1, are you looking at offensive tackle? Are you looking at center? Or are you looking at edge? Or a different, I think you also looked at linebacker last time. So,
Let's see here. So obviously, Logan Jones is a guy that if Lou's not available, I would have interest in taking. I'm not going to take him yet. I'm going to evaluate all my options, but obviously, you've got a guy. Just looking at his accolades alone, he was a back-to-back first-team All Big Ten in 24 and 25. 2023, he was third-team All Big Ten. He helped win the Joe Moore Award. That's obviously best offensive line unit in college football. Remington Trophy, which that is best center. So obviously he's had a lot of accolades, and actually recently from I forget whose practice squad it was, but the Detroit Lions recently signed Seth McLaughlin as one of their centers, and he was actually last year's Remington Award winner. So I mean, it wouldn't be all that funny or ironic, but having back-to-back winners at of the best player at that position would be certainly an interesting way to go. Now, I did see Monroe Freeling is on there, and I did say that while I wouldn't really think that much of taking him in the first round, he is a good second round guy. Could you pop over to linebacker real quick? Let's see.
So in general, the boards aren't going to change, with the exception of one player
Right.
from
Okay.
one mock to the next. It basically, the simulator is going to pretty much keep doing the same mock, with the exception of the players you pick. They'll get sniped. So whoever Miami picked is the player that fell. But if you're trying to keep track of, okay, are you going to draft Chris Bell, Anthony Hill, Michael Trigg, Josiah Trotter? Maybe. But, Chris Brazel's probably not on the Lions' second round board. So,
no. While I do like Logan Jones a lot, I think I will pick Monroe Freeling here. He is obviously the best offensive tackle target here available, in my opinion, personally.
Okay. So TJ Parker round 1, Monroe Freeling round 2. Um,
Yeah.
you haven't addressed center.
Right.
Um, and Parker Brailsford did drop to
Ooh.
round 4. And Matt Gulbin, your Michigan
Oh yeah.
State guy, is
Oh yeah.
also there round 4, as is Trey Zune is also there round 4.
So something that's interesting is I've seen a lot of people posting about how Matt Golbin last season was actually one of the highest graded centers on PFF
Oh,
for the
yes. We love him at Draft Professors. Yes.
yeah. So luckily for us last year, the offensive line at Michigan State was a lot better than the year before with Aiden Childs, but still had pretty much the same amount of success, unfortunately. But new coach, hopefully we're gonna do much better. Hmm. I also don't want to be biased here though, because Parker Brailsford, he's also like one of those guys where if he was available for the Lions, I would really want him. Um, it, can you go down a little bit? I want to see what other. Ooh, Pat Coogan. He's definitely got that winning personality. I haven't really watched too much of his tape either, but um, I do also like him as well. Hmm. So for me, it's just between Golbin and Brailsford. Hmm. Uh, you know what? Screw it. Let's take Golbin.
And I'm taking some notes. So I am taking a note that Matt Gulbin is 108 on the board. Okay. So when you draft somebody on this simulator, they move up. So at the end of this exercise, I will show you that Gulbin moved up. And I took my little note
Okay.
right here in the chat so we can go back and look. So with the last 4th round pick, Koziel gets sniped before your pick. So what would you be looking to do if your mock was Parker, Freeling, Gulbin?
Okay. So first off, okay, yeah, there's the linebackers, but can you check on the which tight ends are still available?
Again,
You've got yeah,
it'll
basi-
generally be the same list.
basically the same, yeah. Um, Now I am a bit of a gamer, and John Michael Gillenborg is usually pretty good when you play NCAA 26. Um, let me see, let me take a quick look at his stats here real quick. Oh, well, obviously when you're mainly throwing to him on that Wyoming offense in NCAA 26, he's gonna be pretty good. But then real life, he only has like 200 receiving yards this entire season. So I don't know if that's because he suffered injuries or anything, or if they just don't involve him as much as like people that play video games do.
Round
But
4 to me feels early for a significant number of these tight ends.
yeah,
To me, the good ones, the ones that would be, because I would consider round 4 to be early day 3.
right. No, yeah,
Maybe Eli Raridan or Endries
right.
in
No, that's
round 4.
fair.
But yeah,
Now, this would be interesting. Go to which wide receivers are available here. I do know that we did take Isaac TeSlaa last year, and he didn't necessarily pop in terms of like how guys at the level of a Travis Hunter would pop at wide receiver, or any of the guys that you would grade sort of in the second in that first to second round range. But he did, I believe, like almost every time we threw to him, it was a touchdown. So I mean, that's some pretty good efficiency out of your wide receivers. And obviously Saturday I'm gonna be there in the wide receiver sort of podcast there. And you know what? Right here with this fourth round pick, we're gonna take Dejon Stribling. I mean, this guy really popped off come college football playoff time. I mean, he was overall pretty good throughout the entire season, but you would just turn on an Ole Miss game and just whenever they needed a big first down to just move down the field there, he was the main guy that was coming up with those catches for him. He and Trinidad Chambliss had a very nice rapport there in terms of the passing game.
Okay, so the simulator starts a third mock. In the third mock, Lomu and Parker get sniped before the Lions pick. You see Vega Ione higher than McCoy, right? And that was something I pointed out is that because we picked him, Ione moved up, McCoy moved down a little bit, and now they've changed orders on the big board. So last time in this situation, I think Keldrick Falk dropped, but he didn't drop this time. So if Lomu and Parker are off the board, is there an edge that you like more than Ione? Or like you also last time, I believe, picked Avion Terrell once when you did the first round challenge. What are you thinking between Ione, Terrell, or any other player that is still available in round one?
What I'm gonna do is before I even consider picking Ione here, first I'm gonna look at the edges and then the tackles. So you do have Zion Young, and he is pretty well liked by Drew Collins, one of your draft professors there. I don't know, but I'm gonna have to think about whether he would be a first round guy for me.
So there's plenty of people that aren't named Drew Collins that have Zion Young in the top 35 or 40 players in the draft.
Right.
Drew just happens to podcast 2 or 3 times a week, so you hear him more.
Yeah.
But JT Olson likes him. Peter Quinn likes him. Right? Just to give you some names of some other draft professors. 17 would be a statement on Zion
sure.
Young. But right, that might be 5 spots earlier. But what do you think the Lions do here?
Go to offensive tackle real quick.
So right now it's Proctor, Ahina Chor are probably, and Tiernan are probably the 3 best tackles on the board.
It's interesting because in sort of an ironic way, since we might lose the guy that we've been putting at the eligible tackle position. I'm forgetting his all their names are like blanking me right now. One sec. But he is the guy that usually we put out on those plays where we'll throw to offensive tackles. He is Oh yeah. Oh no. I'm forgetting his name here. I'm really blanking, but oh yeah, Dan Skipper. Yeah, that's his name. He's the one that like whenever we want to get fancy and put a guy out there that could possibly catch a football there from the tackle position. He's definitely a guy. And then Proctor, you have him this year at Alabama, and I think they used some really interesting packages with him this year. I mean, didn't they have him at like fullback a couple times?
Yes.
Couple times they may have put him out like to catch a ball or something. Now, compared to the guys that I have already talked about and already have taken, like Lomu, and then you've got Fano and the like, so to say. I don't think he's necessarily on their level in terms of like his blocking capabilities for me, but in terms of what we could overall get out of him, I mean, even though he hasn't been doing it his whole career, he did show versatility when he needed to last year. Um, who knows? Maybe what we've been doing with Skipper and what Bama did with Proctor, maybe that'll be more of a thing in in the world of football now. Just sending your big guys out there and maybe they can run and get you some yards, or maybe they can go out for a pass. Um, I mean, we even had Skipper as our wide receiver outside to the left when there were like three wide receivers out on the right, and he even like broke down into a route and stuff. So in terms of versatility, I like him, but I'm gonna have to look at what other guys, because obviously Ione in terms of blocking, he is definitely the top interior lineman here that is still on the board. Um, and I did pick Avion Terrell once.
And like we've got 5 more of these to do, right?
Oh yeah.
Right. So who do you think is the best player between Ione, Terrell, and Proctor for the Lions?
You know what? I'm gonna switch it up this time. Let's pick Caden Proctor, because obviously we do have that need of tackle, and then maybe you can even like have him replace what Dan Skipper did for us these past couple of years and bring him out there and he can run some routes.
So the simulator snipes Connor Lewin, Monroe Freeling.
Yeah.
They're off the board before the Lions' second round pick. And you've talked about the Lions needing a center, and you've talked about the Lions needing an edge. So after you do Caden Proctor in round 1, do you like Logan Jones? Do you like any of the edges? And the linebacker board hasn't changed.
I'm gonna pick Logan Jones here. I mean, in terms of centers, he's second guy behind Connor Lew for me, and then third at this point is probably Matt Golwin, which may or may not be biased, but yeah, I just feel like behind Lew, he would probably be our best choice for a center here, and then obviously. It's really hard to predict this type of stuff at this point because you haven't even gotten to free agency yet. Like you don't know what these teams could do at that point. But
okay, so Proctor and Logan Jones in rounds 1 and 2. You're in round 4. I don't know that Zane Durant had dropped prior to this.
wow,
So meaning that this is the first mock where Zane Durant makes it all the way to round 4. You've been looking at linebackers and like Red Murdoch, Aiden Fisher, Taurine York are all there in round 4. You've been looking for edges. So Tyreek Sapp. I don't know that Danny Dennis Sutton had dropped around 4 before, but he's available. Mikel Kamara, Jay Sean Barham, Max Llewellyn are also there round 4.
Honestly, I know that Durant is there, but I think I would pick his teammate in Dennis Sutton here because just the season that he had with Penn State, obviously that's another team that they were really highly ranked before the season, and they just flat out didn't do what they thought they would do. And I believe he led Penn State in sacks last year as well. And even during the college football playoff the previous season, even when Abdul Carter was there and everyone was just talking about him and how great he was, Danny Dennis Sutton was being talked about as a pretty good draft pick there too. So
okay. So we're in round 4. You've taken Proctor, Jones, Sutton. You have your second round 4 pick. Aiden Fisher is there. Red Murdoch is there. It looks like Torian York got taken. I don't see him anymore.
Also got MLB draftee Bryce Betcher there.
Yep. I think this is too early for him.
Right, yeah.
So what are you thinking in round 4?
It's interesting because I'm trying to think if go over to QBs because obviously I don't want to just be picking like the same positions for every single pick here. And obviously Sawyer Robertson, I believe he's going to one of the All-Star games, right?
This is Senior Bowl, yep.
Senior Bowl? Yeah. So obviously week of the Senior Bowl, I'm gonna be just sitting here in my room, just sitting on my chair here, just watching all the players there. But yeah, so he's definitely someone that has sort of soared up in terms of like later round QB talent. Also, by the way, Jackson Arnold, he's transferring to UNLV, so he probably won't be.
Yeah.
He probably won't be drafted at all. I mean, at least I would hope not.
Yeah, like I said, I got to take a few players out.
Yeah. I don't know if QB is the move here. Go back to. Oh wait, actually, go to running back real quick because there is the possibility that we could, and I'm not trying to speak it into existence because I really like him a lot. We could wind up letting David Montgomery go, which would mean that there would be another sort of spot for another running back there behind Jahmyr Gibbs. Roman Hemby from Indiana. So obviously they just finished up their season not yesterday, 2 days ago, and he played a very big part in them winning a national championship. He had his first ever 1,000-yard season. He is a former Maryland running back. He played at Maryland with another guy that used to go to my high school, one Billy Edwards, and obviously Jam Miller. He's also been pretty good these last couple seasons. I mean, well, it's hard not to see what he's done because Alabama plays games on TV like pretty much every weekend. So it's like, how are you not gonna catch a draftee that's from Alabama? But so let's see. This is a tough one. Go back to defensive line here. Xavier Harris played a big part in Ole Miss's run through the college football playoff this year. Renee Conga, he's actually one of the top CFL draftees as well, and I've actually talked pretty frequently with a scout from that league, and they think he's most likely gonna come over here to the United States. Terry Webb. Oh, Jeffrey Mbaugh, he's also a Canadian dude, I believe. Let's see here. Go back to the first page of D-line. As much as I would like to pick the Godfather here, I think I really like what Tim Keenan's been doing with Alabama these past couple of years, so I'll pick him. And that just sort of shores up the trenches there for.
Oh, I love it. That's 4 straight linemen. That was Caden Proctor, Logan Jones, Danny Dennis Sutton, Tim Keenan. So now
Very-
we're in the fourth mock. It makes sure that Lomu, Parker, Proctor are all sniped before your pick. Falk dropped. Ione is there. Avion Terrell is there. What are your thoughts as to who is the best player for the Lions out of those three?
We're gonna go with Falk here.
Okay. So you do Keldrick, Falk in round one. Then in round two, it will make sure that your favorite players have been sniped, that you've picked already.
Ooh, Chambliss to the Jets, huh?
So Connor Liu, Monroe Freeling, Logan Jones, all off the board. You've addressed edge. Do you like offensive tackle or center in round two?
Let's go to offensive tackle. Let's see what they got there. Ooh,
Tiernan is there. Bowery is there. Austin Barber is there. Blake Miller is there.
Let's take Tiernan.
Okay, so that's Falk round one, Tiernan round two. We're going to be going into round four. So we would be looking at either center or other positions that you'd want to take a look at.
Okay. Unfortunately, Takario Davis goes, which he's one of those corners that I'm really interested in as a late rounder for the Lions. But
okay, so we're in round four, and Parker Brailsford is at the top of the board. So you would not be the first one that picked Brailsford for the Lions.
right.
So that's usually what it means. If you see a player at the top of the board, you're not the first one to pick him for that team. Right? And that goes for any round. You would not be the first one to pick it. So thoughts on Brailsford versus the field in round four?
Obviously, in my previous ones, I didn't take Brailsford, but I also didn't really get a linebacker. So, I mean, I do also have another fourth round pick still, right?
So Terrene York is here, but he's right now he's not dropping to the second, fourth round pick.
Huh. Though guys like Red Murdoch have been, right?
And I think so, but I don't remember that for certain. But I remembered looking for York last time, and he wasn't there at the second pick.
I think here I'm gonna take Brailsford, and since we do have guys like Jack Campbell at linebacker, I think that's a little bit less of a need than center. So I'll just sort of take what we've got if I want to pick linebacker.
So
here.
Murdoch got sniped one pick before you,
Right?
but
yeah, you still got guys like Lawson, Fisher, Trey Moore.
Yep. York went right after your pick.
Oh.
So we've done Falk, Tiernan, Brailsford. What are you thinking you would want to do with your second, fourth round pick?
Let's go linebacker, and I'm gonna go. Let's go Aiden Fisher. I would personally call him a local kid because he's local to me, obviously, but he's not a local kid for the Lions for sure. But I feel like he's also sort of got that leadership and sort of that commitment to doing whatever it takes on the field to win that this Detroit Lions team definitely has.
Okay. And this is why I like doing fanatic mode. So we're in the fifth mock.
Peter Woods.
And it makes sure that Lomu, Parker, Proctor, and Falk are off the board. Peter Woods fell to pick 17.
Yeah.
Do you think he's BPA?
I mean, best player available, yeah, but for the Lions,
If he's there, is there any way the Lions would pass him?
if he's there, I honestly don't think
So
we
you want to
would.
do the Peter
So,
Woods to the Lions in round
just
one?
for the sake of that,
So
yeah, let's do
yeah.
that. Yeah.
So one of the reasons I like podcasting on Fanatic mode, you're going to be able to get to do some things, but this is going to put you out of whack, right? Because if we follow John's tendencies, he's been picking edge and center with his first two picks or offensive tackle. He hasn't grabbed a defensive tackle this early yet. So if you do Peter Woods in round one, and then your favorites, Connor Lew, Monroe Freeling, Logan Jones, Caleb Tiernan are off the board, what are you going to do in round two? And notice that Josiah Trotter also dropped. He was not there before.
Miller's still there. No, I'm kidding. I would not pick back-to-back defensive tackles if I were the Lions. I mean, but don't get me wrong, both of them are top tier. But oh yeah, also Jake Slaughter, he's also an interesting guy that I could get for center. You do still have LT Overton up there. Obviously if all those other edge players weren't on the board, I think go over the tackle real quick.
So we're looking at Bowery, Barber, Miller are probably the best tackles available.
I don't know if those are the ones that I want here though. And I don't mean like the ones that I want as in like the players themselves. I mean like I don't think it would be a good idea for me to pick tackle here per se. Go to interior O-line, please. Yeah, you've got Parker, you've got Slaughter, you've got Trey Zune. I'm just gonna pick LT Overton. He can be my edge.
Okay, so we definitely address defense. So
Yeah.
Peter Woods, LT Overton. We're going into round 4. You haven't addressed tackle and you haven't addressed center, which you've stated were needs. Are there tackles or centers that you will like in round 4? And this is the beauty of Fanatic mode, because you take a different first round pick and it has you start to think about which of these tackles, and notice Blake Miller is still there in round 4. That's a steal.
Oh dang, Akeem Messidor. I actually would have liked him if I hadn't been able to get Overton. I would have gotten him in a later round maybe. He's actually the top Canadian prospect right now for the CFL. And then go to interior line. I want to see what they've got cooking for me there.
Would you take Zune or would you take Blake Miller? What's the bigger need, center or tackle?
Because
I would think that Blake Miller is the best offensive lineman on the board, and it's by a wide margin because some people have a top 50 grade on Miller.
Yeah. Then again, it's like you still do have a guy like Sewell. We don't know what our position, like what we might get in free agency, which I mean, I guess it doesn't matter since we're just doing mock draft. But actually, take Miller, and then we'll see if there's any good centers available with the next one.
Okay, and then centers, Trey Zune is still there.
Take him. Not even a thought.
You
Just
got the idea. So, John, I love it. Like this is fanatic mode. This is why I designed it. And if you look here, so this
okay.
one,
I think I see a certain corner that if he fell to the Lions, that I would certainly
exactly.
want.
So Lomu, Parker, Proctor, Falk, Woods, all off the board. What would the Lions do?
Uh,
Do you think it's Delane if he falls?
if he falls, heck yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I think in this situation it's screw positional need if he's on there, and
Well, and this is the idea behind the simulator. That's exactly it. Is that if he falls, there's like, for example, I haven't pointed it out, but Jeremiah Love has been available nearly every time, right? But the Lions probably aren't going to go Jeremiah Love, but maybe they will,
no,
and that's the one that we do next time.
right.
Okay, so Mansour Delane is here. So Anthony Hill dropped. You said that they needed a linebacker. This is the first time we've seen him. Trotter is also available, so he's dropping. From a center standpoint, Brian Parker, Jake Slaughter are there.
Ooh. Ooh. What about tackle? Let's see tackle here. You got
And then tackle, I would say Bowery, Barber are probably the two best. Maybe PJ Williams or Drew Shell.
So I think I'm gonna pick Anthony Hill Jr. because in terms of O line, I just don't really see any ones that really catch my eye here in the second round. We'll see what we get here in the later ones.
So you've gone corner, linebacker, definitely a different draft. You haven't addressed edge, and you haven't addressed offensive line. And one of the other things to point out with an exercise like this, the edge board in this draft class is going to be deeper, especially in round 4. So if you're looking at Tyreek Sapp, Mikel Kamara, Jayshon Barham, or Max Llewellyn in round 4, to me, that's a strong edge class.
Right.
Any of those edges that you like, or do you like offensive line over edge here?
Maybe this is just because he recently played in and won a national championship, and I'm not talking about Coogan. I'm talking about that edge over there, Kamara. I think he sort of got me wanting him a little bit more now that he played and won a national championship so recently. So yeah, we'll take him there. And he's another one of those JMU kids. And
so a very good defensive draft with Delane, Hill, Kamara. I'm guessing that this last pick needs to be offensive line.
yeah.
So Emil Wagner in round 4 looks pretty good to me. Pat Coogan is there. I think the Lions are a center away from returning to the playoffs. So what are your thoughts?
You know what? Back-to-back Indiana picks. Let's get Pat Coogan.
Love it.
So how many more of these are we going to do?
We got 2 more.
Okay.
We have 2 more.
Let's do it.
So in this one, Lomu, Parker, Proctor, Falk, Woods, Delane off the board before the Lions pick. What do you think they would do?
See here.
Like Vega or Terrell, unless you like either of those defensive tackles for the Lions.
Defensive tackle could be.
Or it could be Jeremiah Love if you think they need a running back.
I mean, let's be.
And again, let's go. We can go off the rails. You want to do Jeremiah Love to the Lions?
Let's be fair. That would be a running back duo that would win you a Super Bowl almost immediately. Let's do it. Okay.
And you're embracing the spirit of the exercise. So Jeremiah Love goes to the Lions in round 1. And in round 2, your favorite players will have been sniped. So round 2, Lou off the board, Freeling, Logan Jones, Caleb Tiernan, LT Overton, Anthony Hill Jr. off the board. What do you do after you took Jeremiah Love in round 1?
Well, I think obviously if we're going to be going two pretty darn good running backs in our offensive game, we're probably going to need to get some good offensive linemen here. Now, obviously, I doubt that the offensive tackle room has changed at all over these last couple. I think if I'm going to go offensive tackle at all, I'm going to go there in the 4th round because I feel like I don't know. I feel like maybe center would be more of a need, and I actually really like Jake Slaughter, so let's get him there.
Okay, so Jeremiah Love, Jake Slaughter. We're going into the Lions round 4 pick, and you typically have been picking an edge and or a linebacker.
Right.
So the edge board, and again, you'll notice that the simulator is going to snipe all the players that you've taken in round 4. So the simulator will make sure that Moore, Golden, Dennis Sutton, Brailsford, Miller, Kamara, all off the board before your pick. Thoughts on Barham or Llewellyn?
Let's see what. I do remember Patrick Payton having a lot of hype, but I'm not gonna pick him because he's not live up to it at all. What I'm thinking, I'm not completely sure what I exactly want to do here because you've got Love and then Gibbs and then obviously you've got Goff, so you're gonna want to protect all that. Let's look at offensive tackle. Emil Wagner is pretty darn good. Ernest Green. You know what? Let's just keep going with like more of a offensive line type pick and go Emil Wagner here. And we'll see what comes in the last 4th round pick here.
Okay, and
Sapp
Barham's still there. Llewellyn is still there. And the reason I'm pointing these out for anybody watching the podcast, these are players that draft professors typically have in their top 100. And we're at pick, 134. So those are probably for edge. Those are probably best available. Linebacker Red Murdoch is there this time. He didn't always drop.
So going through the linebackers, I think that if we didn't get one this round, we would probably definitely go in the later rounds if like a guy like Harold Perkins was maybe still available. Go to QB real quick.
And then Lander Barton also dropped. He wasn't there before. You said go to QB?
Yeah, because we – oh, wow.
See? Now you get Drew Allard dropping. He wasn't there before.
This is tough because there are good defensive players, and obviously edge is something that a certain guy dropped in the comments there how we need to get OL and DL, and edge technically is part of the defensive line there. So, but then again, Drew Aller, he
Most
is
important position in sports.
like Goff isn't that old per se, but he will be eventually. And
Yep.
QB is something where like if if
I think Alar is going to go in the top 50.
yeah, most
So
likely, but but since he didn't go in the top 50 here, am I going for realism like
you should
for
go with who's BPA for you for your team. The
right.
entire simulator is based upon BPA. So any player you skip, the simulator just pushes down a little bit because you're deciding they're not BPA.
Right.
Right.
So here's the thing. Aller, even though he isn't all that mobile, he is a lot more mobile than we've seen Jared Goff be in the NFL. So obviously a lot of Lions fans have been wanting for us to get a more mobile guy in that QB room. So let's pick Aller here.
Love it. Okay, final mock.
Here we go.
And John, I mean, I appreciate you doing this because you didn't know what fanatic mode was. I just messaged you and said, "Hey, do you want to do some mock drafts?" And then I threw this at you right at the beginning of the podcast. So Lomu, Parker, Proctor, Falk, Woods, Delane, Love were the players that you liked for the Lions.
Right.
This is the last mock that we're doing. If we were to look, like Carnell Tate
Carnell.
in this one, Kenyon Sadiq is available.
Ooh.
You have some choices here.
Ooh. So for what our needs are at, I feel like wide receiver would be more of a lower round type of thing, but tight end would be interesting because we do have the impending Sam Laporta sort of extension that will eventually have to happen here. Like, you've got a ton of different top players for the Lions that are going to need to be extended, and that's just the thing. And you're going to have to choose some guys over the others. And tight end, if he was there on the board when we pick, I would pick him. So let's do that. Kenyon Sadiq, pick 17.
And I love how you're embracing the spirit of fanatic mode. Okay, so you do Sadiq in round 1. You had been picking some tight ends in round 4. This was the first time we took one in round 1. So you take a tight end in round 1.
Mm-hmm.
And your favorite offensive linemen are off the board. So the players that you've already picked include Connor Lew, Monroe Freeling, Logan Jones, Caleb Tiernan, LT Overton, Anthony Hill, Jake Slaughter. Josiah Trotter as a linebacker did drop to pick 50. Malachi Lawrence and Gabe Ackus. So I don't know that we ever saw Gabe Ackus available at pick 50 before. R. Mason Thomas is available at pick 50, as is Romello.
Hey, yeah. Honestly, I'm gonna go edge here, but let me think about which one, because all the ones that you mentioned, I mean, there's some good ones still on the board here. You know what? I think I'm gonna pick Gabe Ackus.
Okay. So Kenyon Sadiq round 1, Gabe Ackus round 2. You haven't addressed offensive line yet.
Right. I'm thinking that that's probably what we'll be doing for the final couple picks here.
And we might be able to find one more round 4 center.
Romello Height to the Bears? Ew.
So Sam Hecht is available at center.
Actually, Davis and Igbinosin going to the Vikings is actually a plus for the Lions, because he'll just be having pass interference penalties every time. I do know that he cut down a little bit on that this past year, which pretty good for him. Um, let's see here.
I was looking to see if any centers. So Josh Kreutz, but he's a late round guy.
Sam
Sam
Hecht.
Hecht is probably the best center on the board.
And I'm definitely not going offensive guard with some of these guys that they've got up here. I mean, actually, I'm gonna be fair. There are some good ones, like obviously, I feel like Micah Morris is pretty underrated, but I don't think this pick would be the one for him. Let's see offensive tackle here.
So Markel Bell, Corey Robinson, Demetrius Crownover are probably the three best tackle prospects, but I don't know that any of them are early day 3 tackles.
That makes it really tough then. Check out linebacker. Because, I mean, obviously, since this is just a 4-round mock, that obviously doesn't take it out of the possibility that they're going to pick one of the other positions in the later rounds.
Terrene York is dropping to round 4. There's a lot of people that have a day 2 grade on him.
Ooh. There's also still a Red Murdoch.
And then Red Murdoch. Some people have day 2. Most people have day 3 on him.
You know what? I'm going to pick Torian York here.
Love it. So, Sadiq Akis York. And then we're at the end of round 4.
Ooh, wait. Go to the corners. Wait. I haven't picked a corner in this iteration, right?
Correct. Yeah, Muhammad's there. Massis is there. Colin Wright. I mean, this is a great round 4 corner board right there at the top. Plus Jermaine Matthews.
A certain corner from Arizona is still on the board. Treydon Stukes.
You like Stukes in the slot?
I do like him. Let me debate. Let me debate whether or not I take him at this pick, though, because
Ian Cummings would love that pick. He loves Stukes.
Right. You've also got Malik Muhammad, who I've really liked as well. Domani Jackson was pretty high rated, but I don't think he's as good as his hype suggests, so to say. You know what? Just for the fact that he's been soaring up these draft boards recently, both with your professor stuff and just overall, I'll take Treydon Stukes here.
Love it. Okay. So the mock finishes. You get your pretty picture. Let me show you and anybody else watching the podcast how some of this works. So if you go to the team needs, give it a second to build. It's doing a little bit of calculations here. And we're going to scroll to the Lions. And there's a player list over here on the right side. So I'm going to go to the Detroit Lions player list. And let's go look up some of the guys we took. So like Matt Gulbin was 108 when we took him.
Right.
He moved up to 77. Proctor was 21 when we picked him. He moved up to 19. Blake Miller was in the 170s. He moved up to 82. Sadiq was 24 when we picked him. He moved up to 22. So what the simulator's doing is anytime a user picks a player, they're moving up the draft board. Now, depending upon where they are, will depend on how high they move up. So meaning that if you take somebody that's in the 170s or 300s and you grab them in round 1, they're going to shoot way up. If you take somebody that's in the 170s in round 5 or 6, they're going to move up a little bit, right? So it's a combination of where the player was as well as what round you took them in. Right. And there's some math that I've programmed into the simulator. But the idea behind it is that if you use the simulator, somebody comes in and uses the simulator, pay attention to who the Lions pick. Did the Lions pick the players that John just selected in his mock? The answer to that will probably be yes. So the users John has control over who the Lions take in a mock based upon what you just did. You just did 13 mock drafts. That's going to change the Lions board.
Yeah.
Cool. So, John, I know that took a little bit longer than we anticipated.
No, it's fine.
I appreciate you sticking through it. Do you want to let everybody know kind of who you are and how they can find you on social media?
Yeah, I mean, I am currently, I guess I'll just say this. I'm currently a student at George Mason, and I'm just sort of like a budding draft fanatic, so to say. I do know that a lot of the people that you've had on here, they do like write for newspapers, or they do have their own draft websites. I do write some of my stuff down, but I don't really have a website or a newspaper or anything for it yet, so I'm still sort of figuring that out, I guess. But really what I do is just like every day I go on YouTube and like watch prospect highlights and tape and all that. But like, so in terms of finding me, I do have my own small YouTube channel, which eventually I will start posting on that. Haven't really gotten to it because it's like not on my real priority list here. But it's called Sports Talk with John Fedor, and currently it only has 5 subscribers. So if you guys can just give it a nice little follow there, and I am also on X, formerly known as Twitter, and of course Jim here knows what mine is, but I'll just say it for those that are interested in following me. I am at John D. Fedor on X, and yeah. Thank you so much for having me. Just let me know if you want me to come on for anything else, and obviously I'm gonna be back on Saturday, which is great timing.
Yeah, Saturday for wide receivers. So yeah, so thank you everybody for watching this episode of Mrs. R Relevant, the Daily Draft Podcast. My name's Jim. You can follow Draft Professor at NFL Draft Fanatic. No, I am Fanatic. We will see you on a podcast again in about 50 minutes, where we are going to break down the Seattle Seahawks roster construction. Thank you for watching, everybody. We will see you on a podcast again in 30 minutes.